Hey everyone, Harold Fisher here again, anchor and host of the Daily Drum on WHUR. Welcome to another edition of HUR at Home Newsmakers on WHUR.com and all of our social media platforms. The homicide rate in the District of Columbia continues to skyrocket. As of this week, it is 10% higher than it was a year ago. As government agencies scramble to make the streets safe, communities continue to raise questions about strategies. And yet there are boots on the ground organizations that are attempting to bridge the gap between the politicians and communities that all want the same thing. Well, one of those organizations is the Alliance of Concerned Men. And joining me now is Terrence Staley, who is the program director of the Alliance in DC, to talk to me about some of the things that they're trying to do to bridge the gaps. Terrence, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me, brother.
Absolutely. So talk to me about what the Alliance is doing to bridge the gap between, the politicians who are trying to make laws, start initiatives, and the communities who, as I said, are still raising questions about safety in their communities, hands on their hips, wondering what can be done to fix this problem.
Oh, well, the Alliance has been around for over 30 years. And just to give a little bit of understanding of what we do, how we do it, and how long it's been going on, Mr. Tyrone C. Parker, along with some other peacemakers, developed the Alliance of Concerned Men over 30 years ago. And they're directly responsible for ending the gang violence that was occurring through Cruz back in 1991 when DC was the murder capital. They were successful from bringing it down from 486 to 86 in 2012. So the community work is there. The Alliance has been around, and we intend to stay around. As of right now, we have numerous initiatives under our umbrella. We have the Cure Violence Initiative off of 4th and 6th Street, Highland Terrace. And just to bring it a little more close to us, Highland Terrace was the murder capital back when the pandemic started. The year before the pandemic started. And we have a unit over there off of 4th and 6th Street. Our brother Javon, the Cure Street folks, so we have an office over there. And they were able to establish a truce via Zoom during the pandemic, which gave us 124 days of no shooting over there in Highland. So, of course, Highland is not the murder capital of DC anymore. And that's just some of the work that's been done, not by me specifically, but our team, the Alliance of Concerned Men, and the spirit that we have. And so we also have the Credible Messenger Initiative, where we have youth that are currently assigned to DYRS, the Department of Youth and Rehabilitation Services, for services to be provided that are involved in the juvenile justice system. They have charges that range from robbery to shootings to stabbings to, you name it, serious charges. But this is a humanistic approach to these youth and to the situation that pays attention to the systemic issues that is involved in what occurred. Most of the time, they're not offensive. Most of the time, it's a defensive posture, but they're stuck in bad situations to where they have to make decisions at a quick time that can't think through things to make sure they make the right decision at the time. So they're assigned to us. We have 23 of those youth specific, and we give them mentoring. We provide services for their family, wraparound services, counseling. We get them job opportunities. They're building a network, a community of individuals that have done wrong but are deciding to do right. So that's our Cure Violence and our Credible Messenger Initiative. And the reason why I'm naming these off is because these are different initiatives in the District of Columbia. The Cure Violence is under Attorney General, and the Credible Messenger is under the mayor's umbrella. But there's a way to bring these two together. And we've been blessed to have both of these under our umbrellas to where we're able to see that there are ways to tie these two together. Some of our youth are in 4th and 6th Street, and we're able to further facilitate their development through Cure Violence as we bring them from our groups from Credible Messenger. So it's important that we name these initiatives off and say that it's possible that they can be worked together inconsistently if they're brought together. We also have the Conflict Resolution Manual that we made in partnership with American University. This was a study that was done back in 1991 when the gang violence was at its height. And we took some gang members up to American University to conduct a study. How can we mitigate this violence? What is going on to create this violence? What type of SES situations are provided for our community to where they have to feel that they have to engage in violence and defend themselves in that way or offend themselves that way. And so once we got that information, we copyright the manual, and we're providing that to our youth off of Greenway. We are in the Greenway community in Southeast, and that's where the mass shooting was last year in Greenway. So we said, how can we impact the community in a way to where we can mitigate violence, we can reach out to our youth and provide them skills that are necessary to mitigate violence inside their homes. Because a lot of times they're abused inside their homes, and they come out and they project that energy into the community. So we brought out the conflict resolution manual. We have 7 youth that are most likely shooters, right? That's who we look for. We look for the shooter, because if you implant those skills into the shooter, not only is that mitigating the violence that's going on in the community, but also mitigates that violence that they would potentially do with that individual. So it's twofold. So we've been using the conflict resolution manual for over a year now in Greenway. We have 1 youth that has trained all the way to be an instructor in this. And so it's been a very resourceful tool. We teach triggers and soothers, strengths and weaknesses, identity construct, healing. These are specific things that they need, specific skills to mitigate violence and conflict on the lowest level inside that home. So when they step out the house, they can be a little more insightful and give each other a little more grace, knowing that they went through the same thing before they left out that door.
You have had recently at least one meeting with DC Council member Robert White's staff. What was that like, and what was the purpose of that meeting? Because you have other meetings scheduled with other council members, but talk to me about that meeting and what you hope to achieve by having these sit downs with the members of the city council.
Yeah, we're going to have a conversation, a candid conversation with all elected officials in the District of Columbia, because we know that they are directly connected to the resources that are provided to the communities. So the district has roughly 157 violence interrupters, credible messengers, those working in the
I think you may have a bit of a freeze there. You may have frozen up just a little bit. Go ahead. Start again. You froze up just a little bit there.
Okay. So we intend to talk to all the city officials, members, anybody in charge in the District of Columbia as far as policy is concerned, so we can ensure that these violence interrupter programs last, that they have legs, there's longevity. If you think about violence and how it's mitigated, if you employ those that are most likely to commit violent infractions, that's one fold of public safety. You're stopping them from making the wrong choice to supply the needs for what they need in order to survive. The second piece is they have influence of those in the community, those that they have been on the block with. So if they mitigate their violence, they're also mitigating the violence of the crew. And that's twofold. And that's why we're talking to these policymakers. It's important that you maintain these violence interrupter programs, because it's twofold when it comes to public safety. We are in the communities, and we do understand what's going on. There has to be someone that can tap in, that is on the curb all the way to the office. And I don't know if they have that, but we're ensuring that we provide that route for them. Come to the Alliance of Concerned Men. We'll take you to the curb. We'll take you to the block. We'll show you what's going on. We'll show you what low SES is in 2021. We'll show you what it feels like when you get shot at on the block, but you have to come back and do this type of violence interrupter work, right? And the skill set that it takes. And this is just empowerment for our people, and it's what the district needs. We do not need to let any of these programs go, and that's why we're having these conversations. And the number one thing is,
let me ask you, considering that these kinds of issues are in the headlines all the time, are you concerned that some of these programs could go away? How can they go away when this is at the forefront of everyone's mind?
Well, the approach to violence mitigation has different points. Some people see that it's better community-based, And some people see that it's better top down.
Wow.
And we learned that everybody has the opportunity to do right in the community, but we must all do our jobs. If the law enforcement are the ones that they're going to choose to do this type of work, what type of connection in the community do they have? What type of resource can they go to the community and talk to ensure that their intent is actually being relayed to the community so there's trust? That's why it's important that we have community-based organizations that are familiar with these neighborhoods to be the liaison for this type of work. And to be honest with you, if we're looking at new models that actually work, last 100 years, law enforcement has not been too successful at what they're doing. So there has to be a different approach. Why not? Why not use ingenuity? Why not use the natural resources that are in the community, those that are most likely to have these type of infractions, to do the work, train them, give them a skill set, change their lives, change their families' lives, right? They have a career now. Their job can be to mitigate the violence in their community that they help cause.
If you had your druthers moving forward, what do you want to hear from the council members that you plan on meeting with moving forward? We are in a political season, just like they show up in the churches because they want to be reelected. So they're going to show up in the communities to do the same. Although I would argue that because these issues are so paramount, that political season or not, whether they want to or not, they're going to be forced to have to address these things. So if you had the ear and the druthers of the resources that you want, what would you want to hear from them?
That these programs are here to stay. Now, Cure Violence is a public health model out of Chicago. So it's not widely, there's not wide accolades in the district for Cure Violence, but it's needed. They're in the locations where violence is most prominent, and they're doing the work, and they're mitigating violence. And there's statistical proof that they're mitigating this violence. Let me give you a different perspective. So in Southeast, that's where most of the violence interrupters are working and matriculating. The violence in Southeast has gone down. In Northwest, the violence has gone up because there's not as many violence interrupters working in Northwest. There's the same amount of law enforcement on both sides, Southeast, Northwest. The difference is violence interrupter workers, those that are connected with the community. The community is not forthcoming with law enforcement about what's going on. They're not going to talk to them. Let's just be real. So you have to have a connection. You have to have community-based organizations that have relationships with both and that are trusted by both sides to be able to mitigate this violence.
Bridging the gap, as we were saying in the beginning. Terrence, for those who are interested in hearing more about the Alliance of Concerned Men, where can they find you on the web, or where can you share some information about how they can connect?
Yes, please reach out at allianceofconcernedmen.org, allianceofconcernedmen.org, and also we're on Instagram at Alliance of Concerned Men.
Terrence Staley, Program Director for the Alliance of Concerned Men. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Good luck to you, and continue to do the good work to keep our community safe. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. God bless.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for this edition of HUR at Home Newsmakers. I'm Harold Fisher. As always, I'll see you on the